This is Sarah Mikesell with the Pig Site, and today we are online with Rick Swalla. He is a veterinarian and director of pork technical services with the U.S. Zoetis Pork team. Rick has worked with Zoetis for 13 years. Thanks for being with us today, Rick.
Thanks for having me, Sarah. I'm glad to be here.
Zoetis has launched their Heritage Feeds Tomorrow campaign, and you're being spotlighted because you've been working with pigs since you were a kid. Tell me a little bit about your involvement in the pig industry and in the agriculture industry, really.
Well, thanks, Sarah. When I grew up in Stuart, Iowa, in a small diversified farm, and part of my chores every day was getting up and letting the sows out so that they could eat and drink while I did the rest of my chores, and then I'd come back and put them back in the farrowing house with their pigs. Back in those days, we only farrowed once a year, and so we had farrowed in the spring, and then took those pigs to market in the fall. And then later, as I got older and got into 4-H, and then even later in FFA, I showed pigs at the county fair. I showed pigs, and I also showed chickens and cattle at the county fair as I was growing up. Was also involved in those days in securing a new herd boar. We didn't do artificial insemination back in those days. We went to a neighbor and found a purebred boar and did a 3-way rotational cross where we would get a purebred boar, and that would be our sire for the next at least year or two. So then eventually I moved on and went to Iowa State University and got my veterinary degree.
Very good. And tell me a little bit about your family history on the farm.
Yeah, so my family always farmed, but my dad, he did not grow up on a farm, but he grew up with an uncle that had a sale barn. And so they had a barn, but it was on the edge of town. And they held pig sales every week and moved pigs through there. And so he helped with the pig more from a trucking standpoint and a movement standpoint in that scenario.
Very good. And that must have led him into starting his own operation at some point, right?
Yeah. Then when he got married and actually started it in that same facility where that was once the sale barn, lived there, and then was able to move out on a farm. That was by Madrid, Iowa. I guess another thing that's maybe it's important, maybe it isn't, is that I grew up with a family. I had 13 brothers and sisters, so we had a very large family to work on the farm. So
that is a big deal. That is a very big deal.
Yeah, you don't see families that size much anymore. But we all got our chance to work on the farm over the years.
Oh, that's exciting. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about you personally. How has the industry and growing up kind of in agriculture really influenced your life?
Well, it's been a very large part of my life. I mean, if you think about the pig industry, it's a 24/7 business. And so even to this day, I'm available 24/7 because I know that things happen 24/7. And the people in this industry have been very good to me, and they're very resilient people. Times have been tough over the years. We're having a tough year this year, but the industry has been very important to me. I got my bachelor's degree in animal science and my DVM from Iowa State University in 1992, and I practiced for 7 years. And then in 1998, when the hog market hit $5, that's when I decided to go back to grad school and get into pig production basically full time, is only working with swine, not working with other species in my veterinary career.
Very good. And what made you want to be a veterinarian?
We had a great hometown veterinarian, Dr. Dave Schmidt, who later became the state vet, and I got to work with as the state vet. But I have a little poster that I made in third grade that said I wanted to be a veterinarian, and I wanted to work with pigs, and that I wanted to learn how to use medicine. So back then, I kind of already knew what I wanted to do, and I was lucky enough to be able to to follow course and get through the curriculum.
That's amazing that you had that inspiration at such a young age, and no doubt your life growing up led you down that path, I would think, right? I mean, that's probably where you got your
Yeah,
passion.
absolutely, absolutely, and having good mentors and good people in the industry to help me along over the course of my career has been very helpful.
Very
Like I
good.
said, Dr. Day was probably the main one, and for a long time, because like I said, as I got into my career, then he moved to the state vet's office and got to work with him, for years as him being the state veterinarian as well. He is retired now, though.
Very good. And before we close, I want to just say one of the images that they have is of you showing pigs, and it sounds like you did very well when you were showing pigs.
Well, that was a fantastic year. That year, I took 3 pigs to the county fair, Guthrie County, Iowa. I took 3 pigs to the county fair, and I won grand champion market pig, which is, I think, the picture that you have. I
Right.
also have a picture of I had grand champion market gilt and grand champion pin of 3. So I took 3 pigs to the fair and won all three grand champions.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah,
That doesn't happen
it was
every year,
unprecedented.
though, right?
No, no, no. And the reality is at that point is I had about 3 pigs that were of that quality to choose from. So I was really lucky. It wasn't. I didn't have hundreds of pigs to choose from. At that point I had about 3 pigs that were of that quality. So it was amazing.
That's great. And that's through the 4-H program, I assume, right?
Yeah. So 4-H, I did 4-H all growing up, but then FFA as I got into high school as well. So I think that picture was from 1982, and so I was just starting my junior year of high school.
Excellent. Well, that's exciting stuff. It was great to see, when we talk about heritage, it was great to see, obviously you've been doing this your whole life, and that makes a difference, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it was a big deal for my whole family too, for my dad, because the family had been showing pigs for years, and that's the most success that we ever had. But I mean, that sort of success is unprecedented too, to be able to take 3 pigs and win all three
Yeah,
competitions.
that's
I've
fantastic.
got more pictures. If you want more pictures, I could dig some out.
Very good. Well, thanks for all the information today, Rick. This was great. Nice to visit.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This is Sarah Meixel with the Pig Site.